Okay, we are live and we have a lot of things to do today. So we have to start with the bad jokes, of course. Do you want to start today?
Which Star Wars characters sell online Chinese cookware? The Ewoks.
Jesus. Okay. What, what do you call a fake noodle?
Tell me.
An impasta.
Very good.
Hmm.
Can I just say I really enjoyed your despondent Jesus. That was it was like you finally reached the end.
I think so.
Yeah.
That was shithouse. Anyhow, let's do some coaching. So I want to start with asking you about your weight, because we always do that. Has anything changed with regards to that?
I haven't looked, I haven't dared, for reasons of which you are aware.
Yeah, okay.
Rhymes.
So I'm just going to write it down week by week. And A. Okay. How did it go with the homework then? How many cravings did you allow? Or feelings in general?
Well, it's difficult to make a distinction between um, allowing a craving and then um, it. I know you make this distinction between trying to sit with a craving and then becoming overwhelmed and just not trying at all.
Yeah.
Um, so I'm trying to remember this week, over the last week, like how many times did I really try to sit and resist? Um, Maybe once or twice, but beyond that, I don't think I had the strength to deal with what I had to deal with this week.
Okay. So how did it feel like when you were doing it?
Well, I felt.
Did you write it down as well
Did I write down um,
when you were
like
allowing those cravings?
what? Well, before, not this week, no, but before I was.
Okay, that's interesting. Okay, keep going. What did it feel like when you allowed the craving?
It felt. Um, it felt I was getting a lot of feelings of. I was getting a lot of feelings of anxiety and loneliness. When I was craving the most is when I was quite anxious, quite lonely. Um, so yeah, kind of like a tight, sort of pining feeling in my chest and my throat.
Okay, and then what happened?
Uh, then I um, just disengaged from my agency and almost like rushed to the food with quite a lot of urgency and panic. like I haven't felt that like panicky, like visceral pull, uh, like to go to the sugar in quite a while. Um, yeah, so it was quite yeah. It's I guess there's only one thing to say really, which is like for the last week, I've been very unstable and quite desperate. I've been I've been going to sugar to comfort me in a state of desperation
How many times has that happened?
every day,
Every day, 7
every day.
days.
Yeah, even today as well.
What happened to the thought that I want to be an example to myself and others, what it is to be a carnivore?
Well, uh, well, I think the question is not what happened to that thought, but the question is like what happened to my connection to that thought, to the
Yes, for sure.
well, um, I've been thinking about this over the last couple of days, and I think okay, it's a little bit difficult to talk about this. I don't want to go into too much detail, but I was getting to know this girl, and we were talking online for about 5, 6 weeks since the end of February, and uh, we met on a dating app, and we became very close after about week 3, week 4. And she's a wonderful person, and she took a very active interest in what's going on for me with this whole project, and um, and I didn't realize just how much talking to her about the my experiences and talking to her about my problems every day for the last 6 weeks. I didn't realize how much that was helping and how much support uh, that was giving me. A lot of belief in myself, and I think my best guess is that you know how when you give up something, you can substitute one addiction with another. You can go to other places for that dopamine hit.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I was becoming addicted to this girl,
Yep.
addicted to talking to her, receiving messages from her, interacting. That that feeling that someone is thinking about you every day. That little ping on my telephone like 4 or 5 times a day. I mean, we became like really close, really intimate. She was the first thing I would think about when I woke up in the morning, and the last thing at night. The basically the beginnings of an online relationship that you know is on its way to becoming something.
Yep.
And a week ago, uh, we had some conflict, um, most of which was discussed in a healthy and calm and honest way. But we came to the conclusion that we should just have a break for a while from each other, and we should go our separate ways for a while. And not, we haven't closed the door, but I realized that I was too unstable and insecure because of everything that's been going on for me with my addiction and previous breakup and losing my dad last year. And she's got her own problems as well with like trust and control. And so we concluded that it was like a really good match, but just a really poor time to meet. So yeah, we kind of just went our separate ways. And the day after we made that decision, um, that's when I started getting this really panicky feeling. And I was, yeah, my
Okay, so
anxiety was really,
we can
really,
literally say that you were unsuccessful in allowing those feelings that were coming up from this breakup. Because that's what it boils down to. You did not feel great about that, and you didn't want to feel it. Do we agree?
it wasn't a decision I wanted to make.
Yeah. So you were thinking, this is shit house. I'm all alone. Now I have no one to talk to. Plus, you're used to that dopamine hit. You want to check your phone. You know there are no messages there. You don't know what to do with yourself. And it's really, really fucking uncomfortable.
Yeah,
Did you ever consider sitting with those feelings? Just allow them?
no, no. Um, I suppose I did what I normally do, which is invest most of my energy in rationalizing the decision and trying to hold steadfast in my mind. And I don't, with breakups or these sorts of decisions where I have to walk away from someone I don't want to, um, I find if I allow myself to feel too much, I can get pulled into a maelstrom that will lead me back to them. So I purposely I didn't want to feel anything because I didn't want to go near feelings of regret that would just it would pull the telephone right back into my hand again. And it was really, really difficult to say goodbye to this person. I'd become quite
But was it the right decision for
and
you to make? Do you believe that it was the right decision?
yes, I do, because so certain in the last week, the conflicts that we were having were beginning to destabilize me, and I was beginning to have self-destructive thoughts again, like I wanted to just sabotage and ruin everything.
And
And I
that's exactly
actually,
what you did.
yeah, I thought I thought that by walking away that I would be protecting myself.
Yeah, so there are obviously two things that you could have done. You could have done what you did and think that that is the best decision, or you could have been working on your thoughts in this relationship that you had with this girl to make it more stable. And now you chose this one, maybe because you didn't think that you could do something about it, but this is now a mutual decision, yeah?
Yeah, I mean, we exchanged a few messages today. I think the consensus is still that we shouldn't see each other for a while. Um,
Okay.
I was
So
becoming,
you need to allow yourself to feel the grief of losing that connection. Because if you are going to sweep that under the carpet and try to ignore it, it is going to keep bubbling up and it is going to sabotage everything for you. Because if you cannot allow it, you will. It's like either you feel it now and you feel really shitty about it, and then you're kind of through that and you're processing it, or you're going to feel that for weeks and you're going to go back and forth and wonder if you did the right thing. And oh my God, we exchanged a few messages today and maybe it will happen. Like, make up your mind, make a decision, and stick with that for whatever reason that is. I don't care if you're going to go back with her, but what I would say is that you are probably better off going back, exploring that relationship when your head is in a better space. I think you have more chance of success if you do it when you feel good and secure in yourself and not relying on that as a crutch to feel good.
I
Because
agree.
that's never a good place to be.
Well, yeah, I mean, you've just arrived at the fundamental basis for parting. I mean, that's I think we both see. I think we both know that what you just said is true.
Okay. So how do you want to handle this? I mean, I strongly suggest that the first thing that you do is allow that grief. Like, feel it. It's pretty much mandatory if you want to move through this and feel better about it and be able to handle the rest of your life, including the cravings. Because as long as you're just pushing that down, you're going to want to push everything down and it's just going to be too much, as we've seen this week. So we can probably say that that is not going to work. So how would you like to handle this? Like, do you want to talk to her occasionally still? Or would you like to actually not do that and just go clean for a while and then talk to her when you're ready? What do you want to do?
Well, when I become connected to people, regardless of whether it's platonic or romantic, my desire becomes exponential,
Yeah.
and um, it can become all consuming. So, um, and there is just something about our dynamic where we bring out insecurity in one another in different ways. Um, yeah, so some time apart is definitely needed. Um, it's it's what the rational part of my brain wants, but it's not what the little boy inside me wants. I
Of
want
course.
comfort,
Yeah.
and she's
So how
beautiful.
many messages did you exchange today?
Um, oh, just a a chat exchange within the space of half an hour, roughly.
Okay. And is there any space for that if you want to move through the grief of the separation? Or are you just prolonging the
No,
suffering?
I lost. No, I lasted a week, and then today I had today I had to reflect on my actions. I had to reflect on my transgressions in the last week because of our live stream, um, and I had to think very candidly about what I was going to expose about myself, what I was going to say, and how potentially embarrassed and ashamed I was going to feel. So, because of our live stream, I began to actually think analytically about what had happened over the last week. And then that led me to think, well, it happened after I said goodbye to this girl. So I suppose perhaps the answer might be to go back. So I sent her a message. I told her that I missed her. And she said, I miss you too, but I don't think we should see each other yet. So yeah, it was. I'm glad she did that.
Yeah, I am too.
Yeah.
So you had a weak moment and you thought, oh my God, I need to quit sugar. So I need her. I need her
Well,
to
no,
fuel
it
me.
was. No, that sounds highly instrumental.
Yeah, but you know what I mean. I miss you. What did you want her to respond? I miss you too. Oh, yes. Dopamine. Now I feel better. Now I don't have to eat sugar.
Are all Swedish people as cynical as you?
Not all.
Well,
But that's
thank you for your reduced perspective of my meaningful exchange today.
yeah, but it literally comes down to that. Like what you wanted when you sent her that message was some sort of confirmation that it wasn't just you suffering and she misses you too, and you wanted that dopamine hit. You wanted to feel better. And you were just saying that, oh, I was thinking about how am I going to do this, and I'm going to have to go on there, and I decided to just send her a message. So to me, that sounds like, well, that would get me in a better space where I am able to not go and eat the crap.
no, it was more than that. I was also thinking that perhaps I don't need to lose this girl over this situation, and not having her has made the situation worse. Um, that was the rationale.
What if she actually wasn't useful to the situation? What if she was just masking the problems that you clearly have? What if this is the best thing that could happen because it is exposing you to those emotions that you don't want to feel, and all of a sudden you're faced with them and you need to feel them?
Of course, she is the feminine. She is soft and welcoming and warm. She is the teat that I run to, um, and there can be some of that in a healthy relationship, but there was too much of that coming from me, and she could feel that needy energy,
Mm.
and it caused a sort of, from my end, it contributed to a kind of emotional game of cat and mouse. Um, and then for her, she'd been mistreated in previous relationships in the past, so she has issues with control and wanting to set the tone emotionally of all conversations, and so I'm more inclined to be, um, I think I want to go at a faster pace than her,
Mm.
and so I think out of our mutual my insecurity leads me to want to run, and her insecurity leads her to want to keep her foot on the brakes. And
Yeah.
that produced an intolerable tension in both of us that gave us a totally false impression that that we weren't getting on and that we didn't like each other. But it's not true. It's just sort of pacing, a huge problem with the pacing of how we communicate. And
So just imagine, what would it be like if you weren't needy?
well, my life would be unrecognizable.
What would it be like with her if you weren't needy?
What would it be like? Well, I'd be looking for less confirmations, as you say. There would be less of a motivation to say certain things with the expectation for it to be reciprocated. So more of my expressions would be, they'd be open-handed and thus more genuine. It's the unfortunate There's an unfortunate consequence of being needy, which is that one's expressions are they become conditional, which renders them disingenuous. It's
Yeah, and who wants that? No wonder
uh,
she's breaking.
no one, no one
Yeah.
wants that. But um, yeah,
So can you see that when you're working through all of these problems, when you can start trusting yourself and when you can start at least liking yourself, you won't need all these things. And if you stop being needy with her, she's going to be much more likely to come to you. It's just this thing that is spreading throughout your whole life. It's not just about the cravings, they're just band aid. Or when you're eating, that's band aid. So all of these are kind of everything is the same thing, it's just different symptoms. Your brain is just being human. Like, there's nothing wrong with your brain. It just, everyone wants to feel loved and seen and heard because we want to be part of the pack. Because that is going to be good for our survival after all. You don't want to be kicked out. Rejection is awful. That's like a massive danger signal. So, of course, we don't want to feel that. So it's not that anything has gone wrong. It's just that you need to do the work to move past that. That's all it is. It's not complicated. It just needs to be done. What's coming up?
a lot of shame, embarrassment. I mean, you have a way with words.
I don't. You do.
No, I mean, you have your way.
Sure.
Mm, I'm not very good at hiding from. I'm not very good at sidestepping your criticisms and your observations.
It's my job. That's what I do. I'm trying to see what's behind the words that you're telling me.
Well, in a nutshell, I am in multiple areas. I am seeking validation at I'm seeking validation to a degree uh, which is harmful to my mental health because
So, how could you
it
seek
makes it.
validation from yourself?
I don't. Um,
What would it look like if you did?
what did it look like?
Yeah. So, you know what it looks like when you seek validation from other people. What would it look like if you sought it from yourself?
Still, smiling, like I'm having a good conversation with myself, with a part of myself I trust. I just never I never learnt to be my own caregiver internally. I never I never learnt um, to be my own steward. I never took self-ownership or stewardship.
Oh, so
Um,
how can you do that right now? If you were to do that this week, how would you do it?
chapter 1 of 12 Rules for Life: clean your room. Um, I'll give you an example of
Yeah.
a perfect example that illustrates um, my tendency to seek motivation and validation externally rather than internally. You know, doing something for the validation of others or to avoid the shame and embarrassment of being humiliated by others.
And none of
Um,
those are good reasons to do anything.
indeed, indeed. So um, I don't take care of my abode. I mean, I'm looking at my kitchen right now, and it doesn't look like a human being lives here, but some sort of raccoon. And it's been
I
that
like
way.
raccoons.
So do I. But I wouldn't want to live with one, as many YouTube videos have illustrated. Um, so yeah, I'm I still have the same habits and attitudes to cleaning up after myself and cleaning and maintaining my surroundings. I still have the same attitudes and habits as if I were an adolescent. And
What is that? Tell me about the attitude. What's the thoughts around that? What are you thinking when you see it?
well, if you'll forgive me, just before I tell you that, because
Hmm.
that's certainly going to open up
Okay, go on.
a new
Tell me.
avenue of
What do you want
conversation.
to tell me?
Yeah, okay. So sorry, in fewer words, I will go I will go for 10 days without doing any washing up or tidying or laundry or any
Hmm.
cleaning of any description, okay? Because it's just me, myself, and I in this flat. There's no self-love, no self-care, no desire to just do it so that I can look at it and feel um, all the wondrous benefits of the feng shui. I don't do it because I don't give a shit about myself. In fact, I would go so far as to say that I'm actively hostile to myself. I am my own worst enemy.
Oh, yes.
And yet, if I invite just one friend over, especially if they're a girl, I will have access all of a sudden to this deep reservoir of energy and motivation and focus.
Hmm.
And I will spend if I've invited them over for dinner at say 7, I will start cleaning my flat at maybe 8 or 9 in the morning, and I won't stop until the doorbell rings. And even then, maybe I'm still doing the last hoovering. And these people, these friends, these acquaintances, they walk into my flat and they go, "Wow, it's so tidy. You take such good care of it." And they don't know the half of it. They come, they have dinner, and then I just let it sprawl into chaos and hell all over again. And it was the same as my birthday party in early March, and the place was immaculate. And ever since then, I've just let it deteriorate into the raccoon's nest again. That's the perfect example. I if someone else is looking at me or the state of my life, I will make an immense effort in a short space of time to rectify only the perception of things in the short term, which is all about superficiality, validation, coming across as something I'm not, just to avoid the shame of being seen as I am. that's a perfect metaphor for my life. Is how I, I'll clean my flat for other people, but I won't do it for me. You
Yeah.
know, and that I don't give and it makes me. I look at this flat, and the flat is a constant reminder that I don't give a fuck about myself, and that's.
Okay, so simple question. Do you want your flat to be clean or not?
I want it to be clean. I really do.
Okay. You do want it to be clean. Just
Yeah,
so that we are, because
yeah. I
sometimes
can't.
we think
Yeah.
that, I don't want to assume that you actually want it to be clean and then work on that when actually you don't really care. Because I'm one of these people. I don't want it to be a pigsty, but I don't need it to be super tidy, and I don't really care. Like, and I'm okay with that. That's fine. So if you want it to be clean, like, what are the thoughts that you're having when you have people come over? Why are you cleaning? Is that so that you're not going to get judged, or is it for any other reason?
Oh, it's not. It's just simply because the level of mess is a total impediment to the actual function of the evening. Like I can't socialize, I can't entertain and host and cook and serve in
Yeah, but you said you would
absolute
continue in
crackdown.
cleaning all the way until they arrive. So I
Meaning
suspect
that
that there is over cleaning going on here.
no, there isn't.
No, okay.
There really isn't. I'm saying, I'm saying that
You need that much time.
I'm saying that there really is like 4 hours of washing up, and
Okay.
then like an hour of laundry and hoovering and cleaning and like
But
it's
you mentioned that this is present in other areas of your life as well, that you pretty much present yourself in a different way to how you feel and how you think that reality is. So that's kind of what I'm trying to get at, not at the necessity of doing it to be able to cook. What else is behind there?
what behind my social interactions.
Or behind the giving them an impression that you live in a tidy flat or whatever it might be.
Well, perhaps it's less about the impression I want and more about the reality I want to avoid having exposed. I'm not. I don't. It's
Okay.
just, and it's also because, um, and it's also because I think one of the reasons, one of the aspects of inviting people over, which I enjoy, is that I can care for myself vicariously through them. I can, I co-opt the um, the sense of love and consideration and care and effort which I have for others, but not for me. I co-opt it. I transfer it. It
Hmm.
transmutates into a very short-lived expression of care for myself. So it's like I'll care for myself. I'll do something good for myself so that I can serve others,
Yeah.
so that they can have a nice time. But just for me, no. I don't like I said, I just there's nothing there. There's nothing like there's there all of those emotions, all of those that incredibly strong impulse to want to care for other people and serve them and entertain them and feed them. I feel that
Okay.
it's very real, but and I search for that feeling for myself and it's just not there. It's just emptiness.
Yeah. So when you think about cleaning the house just for yourself, what are the thoughts then?
I suppose I suppose I don't I think the best way I can describe it is the voice in my head imploring me to clean is like a jaded substitute teacher who realizes after trying for 45 minutes to control a classroom of unruly teenagers and that they failed has just sort of given up and has lost all dignity so the voice in my head saying, clean up, this really childish, infantile, sort of self-indulgent, bratty teenager inside me is disregarding it. It doesn't have any power because I don't respect myself. There's no respect there. So if there's a separation
So
of
what is
voice
the
within,
thought? I don't
well,
give a shit about you. I can't be bothered to do it. It
it
doesn't
it'll
matter.
the most common um the most common dismiss that I possess is just an expression of my will to pleasure myself. So I'll I'll look at all of the mess and then I'll weigh it against and I'll calculate all of the effort and which of course I see as suffering and discomfort. And then I'll weigh it against the pleasure of just leaving the flat. Because every time I'm confronted with the substitute teacher losing control, you know, open your textbooks, class, please, no, put that down. No, don't attack Jonathan with an AK-47. Like, it's just I have no respect for that voice at all. There's no gravitas in that voice. So every single time I hear that voice, my way of dismissing it is to leave the flat. So every time I'm confronted with that discomfort of looking at the shithole I live in, my solution is to leave. My solution is to go somewhere and invariably eat something I'm not supposed to.
You haven't told me the thought though. What is the thought that makes you do that?
I mean, it's something remarkably unprofound and banal,
I don't
and
care. Give it to me.
it's something as simple as like, nah, fuck you, I want to go and
Okay, good. I want to go and do what?
nah, fuck you, I want to go and drink coffee, or nah, fuck you, I want to go and
Okay, right.
I want to go and do something easy. Is what it boils down to.
You think that you feel relief and then you just leave and you go and have your coffee or
Yeah,
and something maybe. Yeah.
yeah. It's like I've got a single mum with no control,
Mhm.
and I can just walk away from her without consequence. It's just
Yeah. I mean, you can do that, but that's not going to help you
yeah.
to get to where you want to be. And we're
There's
going to sit
no
here for another 21 weeks and just waste that. But it's your choice. You can always do that. Or you can just find a better thought to have when you're thinking, I'm going to clean the house for myself today.
in a nutshell, which I've said about 3 times in this conversation. I mean, like I said, it's pretty embarrassing stuff, but fuck it. Like, I'll say it. In a nutshell, my father was he was my father by blood and finance alone. He was not interested in being a father in the most fundamental sense. And as I understand people and I observe those with poor fathers, the kind of fathers who regret.
Let me stop you straight away because this
Oh,
is not
stop me straight
useful.
away, please.
Yes,
Well, no,
this
I
is
was
not
gonna.
useful.
No,
I
no,
don't want you
no.
to
It
go
is.
there.
It is useful. It is useful. The
No,
conclusion. You haven't let me arrive at my
I don't
conclusion.
want the conclusion. The
Why
conclusion
not?
doesn't matter
It
because you
does
get to
matter.
choose today what you want to do moving forward. The reason for why you have done anything so far is not relevant
It's not relevant. Well, how is that possible?
because you get to choose today what you want to think and how you want to act and work on that rather than identify why you have been doing things in the past because that's not ever going to help you.
I don't know. I don't know logically how that can be true. Like every significant decision for change is
No,
based
listen
on
to
some
me.
historical
No, it's based on what
understanding
you're
of
thinking.
mistakes.
If you can think differently and you can believe in that thought, you're going to act differently. None of what has happened from 1 minute ago up until now, from when you were born up until 1 minute ago, matters because you get to choose right now what you want to do. You ate sugar all week, so what? You get to choose again now what you want to do.
I hate you.
I love you.
Ugh.
I mean, you can work that out with a therapist if you want to, and if that's something that interests you and you think that is helpful. But when it
I
comes
wasn't.
down to it, this is all that matters, is that
I
you can
think,
choose right now.
with all due respect, I think you're making a tiny, tiny error.
Just a tiny one.
Yeah, just a tiny one. I'm
Okay,
not
tell me what
working.
I'm doing.
I'm not working through anything. I've already worked through this stuff, and it's just something private. And I was going to share it with you. All I was going to say was what I've
You
observed
just
about
need to say
myself.
it.
What I've observed about myself and others is that if you have a lousy fucking father, you either you either recognize that and you make an extra effort to be a father to yourself and you turn that into a tremendous will to be a success, and that's exactly what Gordon Ramsay did. What I and others like me did was to go, oh, wonderful, there's no father figure, there's um no responsibility, this is actually great, um there is only the mother who doesn't have the same power and authority over me. I can do what I want when I want. Now, that kind of bohemian, free falling chaos, that is a decision which I made out of a sense of ease. But it's tormented me throughout my entire existence because it runs against my instincts, which actually are to be productive and responsible and creative and positive and to contribute something. So I my my paradox as an individual is I have a tremendous desire, as I said, to be positive, to contribute and to be productive and to be conscientious. But I have worn out a groove consistently through my actions of just always going to the easy fucking decision. Um, I could have chosen to
So,
compensate,
Alex,
but I
does it feel
didn't.
better to tell me this? Because it doesn't matter.
Well, how can it not matter?
No, it doesn't matter. You still get to choose
Why?
today. You get to choose today what you want to do. It's like I've been doing this for years, and this is why. My father wasn't there for me. He was just, he was just there and he paid for stuff, but he wasn't actually raising me. And it was easier to walk over my mum. So that was the decision that I made. Not everyone does that, but that is, and now I just want to avoid everything. How is that helping? I would like you to just drop the story. Drop all of it, because none of it matters. And you can also, if it's helpful to you, you can rewrite the story in your mind. Yeah, my dad wasn't there, and I took advantage of that. And now I know that that wasn't useful. So now I'm going to choose differently. Always up to you what you want to do moving forward from where you are. And you say that you have positivity and that you want to contribute and you want to do all of these things. But then not a lot happens because you're stuck in your story that I'm a person who will just choose the right or the easy way out. So if we're changing that story to, well, from now on, I'm going to be the person that I'm going to do the things that I want to do, even when it's bloody fucking hard, even when it feels like piss. I'm just going to feel those emotions. I'm going to move through it. I'm going to film that YouTube video. I'm going to do whatever it is
Yeah,
and do it.
I don't, in the end, my misery, my absolute unbearable fucking torture is rooted in one thing alone, and it's cognitive dissonance.
Yes. I think we talked about that last week.
I don't
So
want,
it's,
I don't
you
want it
put up
anymore.
this barrier for yourself. Like, this is what I want, but I can't get there because it's so uncomfortable. I'm just going to go and have coffee instead. Fuck it.
Yeah, but I'm just a child. I'm such a fucking child. Like, I have the instincts of a child that just doesn't want to get out of bed or get out of the warm bath. I
All of us
haven't,
have it.
no, yes, indeed,
But
but
I'm a
not.
special snowflake and I'm not much worse than everyone else. No. Come on.
Well, my life is worse than everyone else's,
No. It
figuratively
isn't.
speaking. Figuratively speaking, right? Like obese, unemployed until very recently, living off my fucking father, living in an absolute shithole, binge eating.
But who cares?
Well, no, I care. I don't. I care. I
But that's the
don't want.
past. It's the past, Alex. Come on. We need to move forward.
Yeah,
That's why you have me here, because you want to move forward. You don't
yeah.
want to think about that shit all the time. It's depressing. No wonder you feel like shit. Can
Okay,
we
so
think
you're
about
saying, all
where
right.
you could go?
So you're saying I can just completely forget about who I have been entirely and just move
You don't
forward,
have to forget
just
it.
let
Yeah,
go.
but yeah, okay, that happened. But now I'm actually going to live a different life because I'm sick of that. And I'm not going to dwell on it because it just makes me think that I'm pretty shithouse. Like, what's the point of doing
It's
that?
really
There's no
pointless.
upside for you to think about it.
It's very funny
And then
hearing
when you
somebody
make
express it.
mistakes, we use those mistakes to learn from them.
Hmm.
And that's how we want to use it. Not to beat ourselves up or, thinking, oh, I've been a complete twat for 25 years or more. Maybe you were good when you were
How did
very
you
young.
know?
I don't know. I don't know. I think you might have mentioned it. So there's no upside to thinking this. Like, how is that thought and thinking about that and focusing on that ever going to help you to get where you want to be?
It doesn't, but it's the habit of a lifetime. I am in love with my misery because it's familiar,
Yes.
it's comfortable.
Yes.
It gives me a sense of who I am. It's
Yes.
like I
I
either
know.
am misery or I am nothing, just a vacuum
Okay, so which
between
is
it.
best? Be misery or
Rationally,
be
the
nothing?
vacuum. It's the interim between the past and a new and bright future. But there's nothing there. There's nothing to hold on to, and it's
Ah.
frightening.
So what do you do when you have a blank canvas? You fucking paint something on it. Something nice, preferably.
Yeah. I've gotten into the. I'm suffering with the syndrome of like don't do anything so that everything is possible, but then nothing happens. It's textbook inertia.
Mm-hmm. So, what's the thought that you need to have to move forward? Are we still in for the I want to be an example to myself and others, what it is to be a carnivore? Or is it something different?
Yes, that is extremely important. It is really important that I'm doing it for me and others, like, and that I actually give a shit about other people.
Yeah.
I'm I give myself a hard time for being so self-centered
Yes, for
and that's
sure. That's not an understatement. So, what happened? Did you write it on post-it notes and put it all over the house? Why not?
because I need to grow up and be serious and take the things that I do seriously.
Like
Everything's
your
still
homework?
just everything's still just a joke to me. Everything's like everything can just be done tomorrow. It's like manana.
Mm-hmm.
I I say things in the moment because it feels good to say them. Because it always feels good to verbalize what you know rationally to be the truth, or at least a good idea. And I've become accustomed to making catastrophic mistake of conflating knowing the truth with implementing the truth. And it's almost as if like knowing what I have to do and verbalizing it is enough, but it's not. I'm I'm missing the action, and that's the story of my life. Knowledge, analysis, understanding, conclusions, but then no action. And it's because I don't take life seriously. I don't take myself seriously. I don't take outcomes seriously because I don't believe in myself. It's like I'm still a joke to myself. I'm still an outsider. Anything that I do ultimately is going to be a contribution to someone else's existence. And I can't even remember if it was because I was made to feel that way or I did it to myself, but one way or another, I made myself separate. I made myself an island from the rest of humanity. So if I do something, if I start being a real person and actually, learning a skill which I can contribute to the world, then I become the thing I'm most afraid of, which is a part of things, a part of everything.
And what's so scary about that?
I don't know. I don't know. It's just what I've become. I've always been, I've always been frightened of it.
But you want to be a part of it?
I don't know.
You
It,
don't know.
I'm,
Okay.
I'm. It goes. It, it's incredibly mercurial. It goes up and down. I'm like,
But you do want to be a person who's doing all of those things that you say that you want to do.
yeah,
Yeah.
but
So we can
yes,
stick with that. We don't have to go to being part of whatever.
but
That's not
it's the reason I
doesn't
brought
really
it up.
matter right
The
now.
reason, no, the reason I brought it up is because everything feels really empty. That's why I don't do anything, because
So how strongly do you feel about that you want to be an example to yourself and others of what it is to be a carnivore? Because if you say that you feel empty and you can, excuse me, and you can have that thought, do you still feel empty when you're feeling into that thought?
oh, it's not about feeling empty. It's about having the expectation of feeling something. I want the emotional payoff before I do the thing. I
And
want
that
to be
doesn't happen.
sure. I want to be sure that being an example to others and making the YouTube videos is going. I want to know in advance that it's going to feel good before I do it. This is me. This is the fundamental dysfunction. This is the malfunction of my brain. Or my belief system, whatever it is. I want the feelings before I do the thing.
Yeah,
You
don't we all?
can't.
No.
No, but like to a crippling extent. It's like
So
I want to know, I want it to be guaranteed in writing. This is going to work out and it's going to be rewarding and it's going to be a success, or I'm not interested. It's this horrible desire to control outcomes, and it strangles the joy out of my existence, because it won't it's like I won't let myself just be enjoy the journey. It's not about A or B. It's everything between A and B is where life is. And I've been stuck at A for the last 20 years, because I look over at B and I go, can you guarantee that I'm going to get there? No? Okay, well, I'm not going to fucking do it then. That
I can
in enough.
guarantee
That's
that you can quit if you're doing what I tell you to do. 100%. I have no doubt that you can get there if you do what I tell you to do. And still you're resisting it. Is that because you don't trust yourself? You don't trust me? You don't trust the process?
I don't trust anyone. I don't
You don't
trust
trust
myself.
anyone.
I don't trust myself or anyone. Meaning I don't know what it's like. Like I don't have the experience of relinquishing control to someone else and just letting someone else take the wheel for a bit, because I've
Because
been I've been on my own forever. So it's just me alone in here in my head, and so it's just hard. It's hard for me to trust other people. It's not like it's got nothing to do with the abuse or trauma or anything like that. It's not like there's some sort of belief like if I give you control, you'll harm me. I know that you are a benign force in my life. It's not that. It's just an experiential problem. It's like a malfunction. It's like I've taught myself, and I've become ingrained in my mode, and my mode is I decide, only I decide, only I control, only I influence, only I direct me, only I am the source of all um, like executive function and decision. Like my decision cannot come from anywhere else. I don't know why that happened, but that's the case. So it's like I really want to give myself over to you and just let you, Pim. Like I want to let you just take the reins and just follow your instructions, and like a soldier, you know.
and you have come to me. You've made it fucking hell. You made a decision to be coached by me. You made a decision to be on my YouTube channel once a week, every week. You made a decision that you want to quit. I need you to make the decision to do the homework, because all those other decisions are kind of useless if you're not doing what needs to be done. You will never get to where you want to get if you're not following the process.
Yes, indeed, I agree. But indeed, but I'm sure you also understand that I needed to not do the homework in order to create the discomfort of in order like I said to you before we began the live stream, I didn't want to come to tonight's session, and
Yeah.
I considered lying to you. And that's precisely because I didn't it's because I knew all of this shit would come out, because it has to, because it's I either give you a real reason for why I haven't done the homework, or I just disappear. There's no.
Yeah, and you might be exactly where you need to be. Like, I'm not saying that this isn't part of your process, because clearly you needed to do that. Like, somewhere your brain just needed to do it and needed to get that out of the system, get that experience. And I think you say that you want to contribute, and think just you being here is contributing because people are watching this. And I'm pretty sure there will be another snowflake or two that will watch this and feel like they are exactly in the position that you are. They're not part of the greater society or whatever, and I'm just outside of everything. I'm an outsider, etc. So I think this is probably a really great contribution, because you just like, bah, here you go. This is what's happening. And that is going to help someone else. And that's great. But I want to focus on you and where you can go from here and what we can do with you. Because you don't want to be where you're at now. It's like, that's why you're here, and you keep saying it, like, I don't want to be like this, I want to do this, and I want to stop eating sugar, and I want to see what that's like. And I really do need you to start feeling into that sentence. Like, I want to be an example to myself and to everyone else what it is like to be a carnivore. Like, can you emotionally connect to that statement? Because you need that emotion to drive you. If it's just like up here and you're not emotionally connecting to it, it's just gonna poof, go away. That's why I wanted you to write it down. Like, write it on the fridge, write it on, on the ceiling above your bed, so it's the first thing that you see when you wake up in the morning. Or set an alarm with the text on. Like, whatever you need to do, and whenever you see it, like, feel it. Don't just read it, feel what that means to you. Because if that has meaning to you and you really do want to be an example to yourself and to others, and if being an example to yourself isn't strong enough because you don't respect yourself right now, then maybe being an example to others might resonate better and create a better feeling. But you can still have both of them in the sentence, and you don't have to change it. But you need to connect to it emotionally to actually be able to use it the way that we want to use it, and make you believe that this is what you're feeling.
Well, basically, you say snowflake, I would say loser. And I don't want to be a fucking loser anymore. I don't want to feel sorry for myself anymore. As I see it, my primary contribution to begin with is I want to show like other fucking losers who feel sorry for themselves and who are the arbiter of their own destruction, that they can pull their head out of their ass, because that's what I need to do. I need to pull my head out of my backside and start and fucking grow up. Like, I'm not
But
a man.
you
I'm a boy.
want to.
I want to.
Yes. No need. You want to. Like,
I want
make
to.
it the choice that you're making. Not like, I need to do that, otherwise.
Okay. I want to. I want to pull my head out of my ass
Yes.
and be an adult rather than a grown child.
Mm.
Because I can see a very bleak future for me if I don't sort out my shit. A very bleak future indeed. And I will be an absolute wreck of a human being. And I've already like flirted with the precipice of that
So
consequence, you know.
I want to steer your mind in a different direction here, because now you're kind of like coming from almost from fear of this bleak future and that you don't want to go there because it's scary. I want you to move towards something that excites you rather than running away from something that scares you, because that's not sustainable. So again, like, I really want to be an example.
No, I
Like,
refuse. Excitement is a positive emotion, and I refuse to feel a positive emotion. I refuse.
you can't. You've hired
I'm
me
not
as
very
your
I'm
coach.
not very
You
good.
have to do
I'm
it.
not I'm not very
That's
good.
fine.
I I'm not very good at being positive. Sorry.
But you need to start feeling both the negative and the positive emotions.
Oh, that's easy.
Good. So we actually need to start wrapping things up, but I want you to write that bloody sentence down somewhere and practice it at least once a day, preferably 10 times per day, and feel it. And then I want you to write down all your cravings, all of that. I don't want you to stop doing that. I want you to keep writing it down. Even if that means that you're failing after, then you just write down what went through your head, what was going on, how did that feel, and then what your response was. Well, I did go and have a donut anyway. I don't care if you think that you're failing. I want you to get into the habit of writing it down, because you didn't. You told me, I think it was before we started the camera. You said I have done it, but not this week. So that's kind of like a giveaway. Like when you're not writing it down, you're failing. You need to write it down, because that's what's going to help you to disconnect from that emotionally. So can you do this homework?
Yeah.
You remember the sentence?
I want to be an example to myself and others of what it's like to be a carnivore.
And how does that feel? Like, do you feel it? Or is it just words?
Well, I think it will it I think it will take on an emotional form the more I say it. But right now, I've got so much fear and anxiety and discomfort in me. There's not really much room for anything other than just willing myself to do it because I know it's a good idea rationally.
So once we get off, sit with those emotions of fear and anxiety and just feel what they feel like. If you need to set the timer to just like 2 or 3 minutes, do that. I don't require you to sit with it for half an hour. Just, get a start, do it. And then when the time's up, whatever predetermined time you've decided, you're done. Then you can go and do something else and distract yourself if you need to. But only after you actually sat with it. Because we need to have you practicing actually feeling those emotions on an ongoing basis. Yeah?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Thank you everyone for being here. We shall be back next week. Hopefully Alex can tell us what he's feeling when he's talking about that sentence next week. Bye.